Hi and welcome again to the Journey to a Dream podcast, brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance. Now, as I speak to you, it's the Monday of qualifying week for MGP 2024. Unfortunately, the weather didn't get the memo. It's absolutely hideous out there, so today's qualifying session has been called off. However, everything crossed for the rest of the week, and we're going to have quite a few podcasts, hopefully, to publish over the next few days. And the one I've just recorded is incredibly special. It's all about the Billy Redmayne Memorial Fund. Talking to Billy's dad, Dave, about what the fund is all about. And we meet the 4 riders who are being supported by the fund this week. We'll hear from all of them in a moment, but first, let's start with Dave, who tells us how the fund came about in the first place.
Yeah, after Billy had his accident, we decided we were going to do something to keep his memory alive. So we came up with the idea of a memorial fund where we could help newcomers at the Manx Grand Prix and other motorcycling causes.
And I suppose, Dave, there might be people wondering why you'd still want to be involved with the sport after what you and your family have been through.
It's something that you can't let go. We all know when we sling your leg over a motorbike, that's it for life. And Billy wouldn't want us not to still be involved. And I'm heavily involved with the scrutineering anyway, so I can't give it up.
So where did biking all start for you?
My father, and a field and a trials bike years and years ago. Then road bikes, then racing, and then moving here and getting involved.
I think you're involved in all the meetings on the Isle of Man. And what do you get out of it? What is it that keeps you coming back to supporting those events?
It's great to put something back into the sport. You know, I've done a bit of racing, and it's just great to help out the lads that are struggling. You know, it's an expensive hobby, isn't it? And it's great to be able to help them out. And
as you said, your dad was one of the reasons that you got involved. I suppose there was no question that your son was going to do the same.
Well, my wife Sue, she rides as well. Billy was going to nursery on the back of her bike, 3 years old. There's a little bit in Sue's book about this, about him being told he couldn't go on the bike until he was tall enough. So he turned up one morning with his wellies on, and he sat on the back of the bike with the wellies touching the footrests, but his feet weren't all the way down to the bottom of the wellies. So he was always wanting to be on a bike.
And so Sue wrote this book. It's really, really poignant and a lovely legacy.
Yeah, it was something that she needed to do. It took her 5 years. If you buy a copy and you know Sue, it's like listening to her talk. It's come from the heart. I did a chapter, and it's raised probably nearly £2,000 now, so that's more than another newcomer.
The fund then, as you say, really came about to try and support the newcomers, because I think speaking to some of the newcomers over the past few months, you get a real sense of just what a financial strain it can be. How did it start then? What was the overall aim?
I say to sponsor 4 lads or lasses at the Manx Grand Prix every year. So we know from Billy doing the Manx, the first year we were on a shoestring, 1 bike, 1 engine, 3 sets of wheels. That was us. You know, if anything went wrong, we'd be going home. So we give the lads some money, and it can make the difference so they can actually eat in the paddock, you know, because it's such an expensive sport.
How do you choose who you're going to support?
Well, I get a list of the newcomers, and then I go through that list, and Sue and Kerry and Leanne, Billy's sisters, we all have a look, and then we all do a bit of Facebook stalking. More to just check, you know, what you're about, how keen you are, how many sponsors you've got on your fairings. You know, you can tell who's going to be needing a bit of support, and then we put the names in a hat if we've got more than 4, and you get 4 lucky riders.
We'll talk to the riders that you're supporting this year in a moment, but in terms of raising the money that you need, because it's not an inconsiderable amount, how do you do that?
We have a website, the Billy Redmayne Memorial Fund.co.uk. We sell merchandise on there. There's a lot about Billy on there. We get a lot of donations. Bushes Brewery, Martin Brunchweiler, he launched Airborne Bitter a couple of years ago. That's brought in probably best part of £3,000. We have the annual fundraiser. We've got one in Ramsey at the Mitre Hotel Sunday night. Brings in, last year it was enough to sponsor another newcomer, which is fantastic. We got people like Albert Walker. He was one of our riders last year or the year before. He went off on a monkey bike trip across Peru and did a GoFundMe and raised some money for us, which was fantastic. And then one of our fellow scrutineers, he passed away at the beginning of the year, Fred Peck, and his wife Jocelyn has been selling off some of Fred's stuff and donating it to the fund. So it comes in from all over the web.
There's some incredible support, and particularly with the Manx businesses, that must be quite special.
Yeah, we've got raffle prizes for this function. And Nathan Harrison, Trike Tours, Robinson's, Track Day up at Derby through RPM events, Carl Trowell, cheers for that. Glen Lock, Laser Mayhem, Derby Motor Museum, Tears Butchers. We've got a weekend pass at any of the Scarborough meetings from Andy Hayes at Oliver's Mount there. So that's 2 people, camper and or tent. Billy raced at Scarborough and obviously lost his life there, but they were very, very keen to help out and support.
And I think things like that, Dave, just show what almost like a family this motorcycling sport is.
It's the road racing community. It is another family. It's an extended family. We also have the parachute regiment because Billy was in the paras. That's another extended part of our family. But it is a brotherhood, isn't it, motorcycling? It brings you together worldwide. The people I've met through the TT, homestaying Australians, they still come back. I've known them 30 years, you know. It's fantastic.
So here we are then, we're speaking on the Monday of qualifying week. We're looking out the window with everything crossed for the weather tonight, but we're not quite sure how that's going to go. Choosing the riders that you're going to support this year, again, it must be so tough having to whittle it down. Who have you chosen this year?
I've got Damien Crook, known him a few years, a local lad. I've got Callum Pert, I've known him a few years when his dad was racing. Aidan Cleary, he was unknown to me before we started the process, and along with Tim Walsh there, again, I've never met them before. But
Damien then, how did you find out that you were going to get this support?
Being local, I've known Dave now a few years, see him nearly every weekend up at Derby, and we get along well, don't we, Dave? Have good chats, and yeah, he announced me about a month or so ago that I'd been chosen, so really appreciated that.
And we spoke on the Journey to a Dream podcast a little while ago, and we touched on the financial strain and just how all-encompassing it is. What does it mean to you?
A hell of a lot. You know, I'm lucky compared to these lads. I live on the island, so I can go home at night or whatever, like, you know, I can cook my own meals. But for these guys, as Dave said, just relax, go and buy some food or buy an extra pair of tyres. There's also like an area of safety as well. If people are starting to help you out, you know you can buy new tyres, you can buy new brake pads, and that element of safety comes into it, and it does make a massive difference, real difference.
So you had your first outing on the mountain course yesterday, yes. Damien. Would you be able to put into words how it was?
It was very bittersweet, let's say that. Getting out was phenomenal. It was brilliant. It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. But obviously, unfortunately, 2 red flags, and what happened, and, you know, so, yeah, very bittersweet yesterday, but massive learning curve. I found the track spoke to me very quickly. Obviously, I'm local, so I know where I'm going, I know what's coming up, but even then, how do you experience doing Kurt Michael at 100 plus mile an hour, you know? But the track does talk to you very quickly, and you got to learn to respect it, because it will bite back. But yeah, it was brilliant. What we did do was brilliant.
Let's move to you, Callum, and as Dave said, your dad raced, so I'm guessing you're another one who has always had it in the family and probably doesn't ever remember anything else but bikes.
Pretty much. My dad started doing the Manx, I don't know, maybe about 8 years ago he'd done the Manx or something now. It was a while ago he did it, but yeah, I've been growing up around bikes my whole life.
When did you decide you wanted to do the MGP?
I've always wanted to do it, ever since I started racing. So 7 years ago I started racing, and it's always been something I wanted to do. I always wanted to do the roads, but Mum was never really keen for it, and then she eventually realised they were either going to help me do it or I was going to find my own way to go and do it. So
when did you put your entry in?
Towards the end of last year was when we put the entries in for it. I was on the reserve list actually. I wasn't going to get an entry, and then got a notification in January saying that I was going to get one, in fact. So I had 2 weeks to come over to the island for the first training weekend, so just dropped everything and came straight over. Weekend that I found out actually to go do laps in my car and practice it, and then came back the following weekend to go do more laps with the instructors. And
do you remember that moment when you realised, flipping heck, this is going to happen this year?
Yeah, I was sitting outside my house, just got back from work and seen the email, and then ran straight into the house and shouted at my dad and told him about it, and he couldn't believe it, and then hid it from my mum for a little bit, and then eventually broke the news to her.
How did she take it?
Better than I thought, but not too well. I mean, she's over with us this week, so she's come to watch it. The whole family's come over, but yeah, she's definitely panicking. But
how amazing to have that support, though. Is your dad the sort that's giving you advice about it, or is he kind of just letting you do your own thing?
He's giving me the right advice on like how to just stay safe and that, but he's not really trying to put too much in my head or anything. He's just letting me try to figure it out myself. He's not wanting to push me too much or anything.
And when you found out you were going to be supported by the Billy Redmayne Fund, what did you make of that?
That was unbelievable. I was at work again, and I got the Facebook message from Dave asking if I wanted it, and yeah, I couldn't believe it. I straight away phoned my dad. I was like, this has just happened. I was absolutely buzzing with it. I was having a really bad day at work and as well. It totally turned my day around. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
What does it mean to you in practical terms? We've heard about Damien just saying almost there's another layer of safety because you've got a little bit of a cushion almost.
Yeah, well, because obviously everything just costs so much in this sport, and especially not staying on the island, as he was saying. Like, I stay in Scotland, so I've got to get ferries here, the fuel to get here. So even just getting here is expensive itself, and then you've got all the expenses of being here, food and everything, and paying for all the stuff with the bike and all that. So yeah, it's a massive help.
And yesterday, obviously, again, the first time out for you. What was that like?
Unbelievable. Sadly, I broke down at Ballycry, just something battle related. But yeah, it was still, until that point, it was fantastic. I got my newcomer lap in, which was brilliant. I was absolutely loving it. It was definitely something special. I can't wait to get back out and do it again. And
in terms of sorting out any issues and whatever, is that all good now? Bike all right?
Fingers crossed. We've got some really good help, like Alistair Cowan and my dad and all that. They're away looking at the bike at the moment, trying to figure out what's going on with it. So hopefully it'll all be sorted. That's where I'm going straight after this. Be down at the workshop to go and see what like.
Fingers crossed. Aidan, just give us a little potted history of your racing career so far.
I just started doing track days must be about 8 years ago. I hadn't planned to race at all, and then my cousin Dermot, who races as well, he done the Manx last year for the first time, and he started racing first actually, and then I was like, well, if he's going to, I may as well too. So I went and done it. It was just a bit of crack, and always just says, the short circuits will be alright. And then the next thing, he started doing the roads, and then I was like, oh, sure, I'll do one for the crack. And I fell in love with the roads from the first time I'd done it, to be honest. I haven't looked back since, but I had never, to be honest, again, I hadn't planned to do anything like this here. I never thought I'd be capable of doing it, or just the last 2 years or so, it's been playing in my head. And then Dermot done it last year for the first time, and once I got over and seen what it was like and everything, I just was like, oh, I have to do this. So it was sort of really, really in my head from this time last year. And I put in an entry, and lucky enough, I got accepted this year, first time, so I'm glad to be here.
And you've had some great success, actually. You were a podium finisher last year at the Armoy Race of Legends, race winner back in April at Cookstown, scooping the junior support category honours. So for something that you started out doing as just a bit of a crack, there's actually real skill there. Is this something that's in the family as well? Have you always grown up around bikes?
No, not really. I mean, like, my dad wasn't into bikes. I think he had a bike one time whenever he was younger, but he's not really into racing. He doesn't even like really coming to races. He doesn't like sitting about. You know, he gets bored easily. He would rather be working, so he would. But a friend of mine, he's actually passed away now, Eddie Clark, and he got actually killed on the roads on a bike, not racing, now the road traffic incident, you know, last May. And he always had bikes. He grew up with bikes, and I got on the back of him one time away back when I was maybe 17, 18, and I always had a love for bikes saying ever since that backy, like, I'll never forget it. Like, I was always into cars, and the first run on behind him, I couldn't believe the acceleration. It was unbelievable. He went out that big straight out down past his house, a big hill downwards, and just I actually closed my eyes at one stage. I was like, oh my God, I could not believe it. And ever since that, I have a bit of a love for bikes, but I never thought I'd be racing. Definitely never thought I'd be over here.
You come from a part of the world where people assume it's almost in the blood.
No, do you know this? I never even used to go to races or nothing, you know, and I just started till, and just haven't looked back. Once you get that buzz about the paddock and just at the races, like standing watching it, how fired up you get watching it. But to be honest, it's just, you can't describe it. That first lap yesterday was something else, like.
Do you actually remember most of it? Because I imagine it must be a bit of a blur with all the things you have to think about.
Well, to be honest, I did do plenty of homework, and it wasn't a really, really fast lap, you know. It was just nice and controlled and just cruising about, and I was just sort of making sure I knew what was coming up, and I was to be honest, I thought it would have been faster, so it was a wee bit slower, and I was just what I needed, you know. And then it was just to get round after that first lap, and like, well, I can do a lap of here anyway, so it's just a matter of just learning it a bit more. Like, it got to the stage you're watching onboards, you've done laps in cars, but whenever you throw your leg over a bike and start doing it, and you're over here, and you can have both sides of the road, everything changes. Like, it just got to the stage I just wanted to get out and ride it, and I was wild nervous for my newcomers lap, but it cooled the way down whenever I was going back out again for the next 2 laps, you know. Just to get that one lap over me was everything, to be honest.
And so, as you say, you put your entry in, you were luckily accepted, and then presumably you got the message from Dave. And I don't know were you aware of Dave? Had you heard of the fund before that?
I did hear of the fund before, yes, and then the next thing I was working, and I was at Adam McLean's house working with races as well, and I got this message on Facebook. I thought it was a scam at the start. To be honest, I was thinking, this can't be happening. And then I was talking to Adam, and I said to him, and then he said, no, that's genuine enough. And then obviously I messaged back and thanked him, and the money's helped massively. Like, it's to have to come over here, and from Ireland and all the rest of it. It means everything. Like, I'm proud of one of the stickers on the bike now. It's great. It was a bit of a shock, but it's much appreciated. Like,
Tim, let's come to you now. Just give us a little bit about your background in racing.
I started quite late, to be fair. I've always been into bikes. I used to go to Donington and watch the World Superbikes, and as a young kid I loved bikes. But in terms of like riding, it started quite late. So 10 years ago, I had a family, so that kind of stalled all the sort of racing. I mean, generally you see a lot of young people coming through and growing up with it. I wasn't quite as fortunate as that.
I don't think you're that old, Tim. We should probably say for people who haven't seen.
I'm 42, yeah. yeah, easy paper. But as soon as I could, I just bought myself an R6 and did some track days. And then I decided pretty quickly that I wanted to go racing after 12 months of doing a few track days. Just went to a local club, Darley Moor, up in Ashbourne. Started racing there in the pre-injection class, and I think I finished third or something like that in the first season. As soon as I got into racing, I had this vision, because I'd been here as a kid watching the TT. I wanted to ride the course. I never ever thought I'd get here, but I sort of drew a path of how do I get there, what do I need to do, and just sort of went through the short circuit stuff. And then I sort of decided to do some Scarborough. Lucky enough to get an entry there. Nervous. I think it was the Barry Sheen 2021. Luckily enough, I won the race. Actually, I was in the. I think they had 3 classes there on the 600s. They had A, B, and C, and I think I won the C section and got pushed up into the B. And I think I came somewhere near the back, but really enjoyed it. Then I started looking at the Irish road racing. That's sort of where I met you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we did a bit of racing together up there, Armoy, places like that, and did sort of the lightweight classes, and then did the sort of junior support. Worked my way through there, and we had some good races, didn't we, together? Yeah. But the thing is, for me, it's like I've met so many people through racing, and then you just stay in touch. It's like something I've never experienced before, just through like riding and racing. I've got long-term friends now who live across the other side of the country, but we're together, we're bonded together, and it's amazing. And then I just kept working the roads. I just wanted to be here, and I just wanted to do it in the right way. I wanted to build it up, get the experience, and I'm lucky enough put the entry in, and I was fortunate enough to get an entry this time, which I couldn't quite believe, to be honest, but here I am.
And how have you balanced this alongside your family?
Luckily enough, my wife, she's big into horse riding. She does some British events and stuff on horses, so...
Almost the same thing.
1 horsepower.
We haven't got cheap hobbies. Because she's riding, I support her with her horse riding, and she supports me with my racing, so we kind of balance things out a little bit. It's not one-sided, which I think helps quite a lot. I'm a stepfather to her son, and I got him into racing as well. He'd been doing some racing at Darley and Mallory Park in the Emerald, so at one point we're running 2 bikes and couldn't pull any money together. Just everything just went on racing, and obviously supporting Kathy as well in her horsing. But life's for living, I think. And
so from that point of view then, to get the news from Dave that you're going to be supported by this fund, how did you react to that?
I think I'll repeat what these guys said. I was sat at work. I just had an email from Heather saying that I needed to pay for the entries. It was that morning. I was sat there and my phone went, and I got the message, and I was actually thinking, sitting there, how am I going to pay for this? And then it came through, and it was just, wow. It was a real shock to me. I knew about the foundation, but I never in a million thought that I'd be sat, getting that message. It helps so much, so much. Racers understand, and I think a lot of people do outside of racing as well, but it's such a drain. You're fighting all the time just to get to the next round, How am I going to pay for it? What do I need to sacrifice? What do we need to sacrifice? Well, we can't go on holiday this year. So for me, it's such a nice feeling, and I think as well, it made me feel like wanted as well. Made me feel a bit special, and I think that's what that was the difference, I think. So out of the blue as well, and then it's like, someone wants to support me, someone's obviously been having a look at me and seeing what I'm all about, and it felt really good.
Dave, how does it feel being what really I can only describe as the Cilla Black of the MGP world, just spreading all this surprise and joy?
Well, I just feel quite humbled now, the words from the lads here. It's just great to help you out. It's keeping Billy's memory alive. You look at the programme from this year, Joe Yeardsley there with the Billy sticker front and centre on the bike in the middle of that programme, and it just gives me a big warm feeling. The rest of the family as well. It's just great to give you some support. If it's safety or whatever, it's just fantastic that we can help you out.
And I'm guessing it's probably about much more than finance. I don't know, during this week, what sort of connection will you be having with your riders?
Well, hopefully not failing any of the bikes at scrutineering. We'll just be touching base round the grandstand. I'll be asking them how it's going on and if I can help out at all with anything, point them in the right direction. It's handy having the local knowledge, as you know, Damien, where can I get this welded, what I need to get this done, so we can assist you that way best we can.
Would you be one for giving any advice? Is there any advice that you've passed on to them?
Well, I say they've all done their homework. All Billy did was watch onboards in Afghanistan because he was out there, came here on his R&R and won the Newcomers 10 years ago. Just, watch the track, it will bite you, like Damien said. Just slow in, fast out.
I'm really interested, Damien, in what Tim was talking about there, about the fact that the friendship that he's formed. And I know there's a lot of work with newcomers now, having these weekends and going out with the more experienced riders and whatever. How important is that side of things for you?
Really important, and for everyone in the paddock. I think what it is as well with the race life, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter how much money you got in the bank or how poor you are. It's the same for everyone. When you're on track, it's your riding that talks, it's not your money. All right, money does help and you can have a better bike or whatever, but everything in general is the same for everyone, and it creates like a level playing field. I think that's what brings the racing community together.
Callum mentioned, unfortunately, the weather doesn't look brilliant for today, and I just wonder from your point of view, how do you handle that sort of thing? Because I'm guessing all of you just want to be out there and getting in as many laps as possible.
It doesn't help, considering I only got one lap in yesterday in the Newcomers, so I'm hoping they do something about the required qualifying laps. The weather really isn't going to help, because even going out there to do practice laps in the car in this sort of weather, you can't really see much of anything, especially up on the mountain. It's really foggy out there and we're down at the water, so I can't imagine what like it is on the mountains now.
No, we're looking out across Douglas Bay at the moment. It's gone a little bit grey. I should say, actually, our windows are a little bit tinted. It might not be, hopefully, as bad as it looks out there, but keeping our fingers crossed. Aidan, from your point of view, how do you handle that sort of thing when there's a lot of hanging around, which obviously you haven't much experience of at the MGP yet, but presumably in other races that you've done?
No, I don't like hanging about, to be honest. The waiting, you're just constantly thinking, overthinking, and there's not much you can do about the weather. It's just a bit more time to prep the bike or do whatever, and even get out around the course a wee bit, although it does look a bit foggy, but the mountain will probably be not much use, but you just have to deal with it, kind of. But I don't like it, but what can you do? You just have to work with it.
Who have you got over with you?
My girlfriend's here, and a friend, Julie Reid's here. I have two lads from the island, Phil Burney and Kyle Trell, that helped prep the bike. Fair play to them, they've done a lot of work, so they did on Saturday night and Sunday morning to get it ready for scrutiny. So fair play to both of them, I wouldn't have been ready yesterday because I haven't a clue about bikes. To be honest, I can't work on them at all, and I shouldn't be let work on them either. I'm a disaster. I see the thought of even taking a wheel out of one makes me sick. That's the truth. I hate working.
Right, if anybody has any issues and Aidan comes near you, don't let him near you with a spanner.
Don't let me near it. I'm telling you, don't let me near it.
Tim, what about you? Who have you got supporting you?
I've got Ricky Walters with me and Martin Chester. So Ricky's a good friend of mine. Been lucky enough for him to do all that, the kind of bodywork kind of stuff. He's actually a sprayer by trade. He does mechanical as well, so he's been helping me prepare the bikes, but he's making the bike look pretty. Martin's a train mechanic. Martin supported me all the way through the Irish, and he's always there. I trust him with the bike. That's the other thing as well. You've got to trust him, haven't you? If they're tightening up your back wheel and putting your brake calipers on, you need to make sure that you know in your own self that it's been done properly and done right. And then I've got another couple of guys who are coming over tomorrow. They're going to help me. So Andy Hurd and Andy Blacker and Nick Benison's coming as well. So I've got quite a group, to be fair. It'll be nice to have us all together. And
one of the things is going to be, obviously, when we get to race time, is the pit stops. How are you feeling about that side of things? Because I know it can be a bit nerve-wracking. Yeah, so on Thursday, they're going to run through the pits with the technical, and they're going to show us what's what. To be fair, the guys that we're running, it's our first time, so I think that's going to be really beneficial, just in terms of where the tap is and what the procedure is. But I've got them primed. I've got them primed. I've got all my fire suits and everything, and we'll be absolutely fine. But I think the message will just be, just take your time, get it right first time. Don't be dropping the
no panicking.
Fuel tap on the floor and things like that. Don't panic. Just take your time, and I think we'll be all right.
And Callum, is your dad going to be an integral part of that side of things?
Quite lucky. We've got Craig Neves, fuel boys are going to be doing it. So his dad and the boy that does his fuel and that are going to be helping us out. So it's just them and my pal Finlay and Ross will be doing it as well. But I think they'll be in charge of cleaning the screen and holding the fire extinguisher, and just let them take over the rest of it. Luckily, my pal Finlay, he's been with me at all the Scottish stuff. He's a really good mechanic, but it's his job through the day, so I kind of hope he would be. But yeah, I trust him completely with everything that he does. And also, we've got the help from Alistair Cowan, who he obviously builds bikes that were racing the classic TT and that as well. And his bike's always absolutely immaculate. And if it wasn't for those boys, we wouldn't even have the bike at the minute, because our engine blew up on Monday on the dyno. So we were literally swapping. Well, I say they were swapping the engines on Friday and Saturday. Doing everything like that, changed the whole front end, and that's just a completely different bike. And if it wasn't for them, it just would not have happened. So I got complete trust in them that everything's absolutely meant.
And are you wanting to sort of tinker around with the bike, or are you a bit Aidan-like?
Yeah, I think I'm a bit like Aidan. I wouldn't. If I'd done something to my own bike, I'd like to be supervised whilst I'd done it, and then somebody check what I've done. But yeah, I certainly won't want to go throw myself in a bit myself.
And Damien, who have you got supporting you team-wise?
Well, luckily for me, I got Matty from MWR Motorcycles on the island. He's done the TT, he's done numerous Manxes, so he knows what he's doing up there. My friend Ben's come over from Devon. He got on the island last night, so he's coming to help. And then for the pits, we've got me stepdad, who has been a great help at the moment, my brother. I
just want to ask all of you then, if we're speaking in just over a week's time, Damien, what would success at MGP 2024 have looked like for you?
Finishing it. Actually just finishing it. Everything above that is a bonus to it. So, yeah, I just want to get out. Hopefully we'll get the whole 4 laps as well. And, yeah, hopefully the bike will be good and we'll see you at the finish line. That's the goal. That is the goal.
Callum?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy just to qualify for the race and get all my laps in at this point. But no, finishing the race is definitely that's the aim for the first time being here. We'll focus on more things in the years to come, but definitely just finish the race.
Aidan?
Same thing, just finish the race, get as many laps in as we can. Hopefully we will with the weather, but definitely a finish is the key. Wee trophy or something to take home for the mantelpiece would be nice, from here, first time here and all. To be honest, I'm very lucky that I am here. This time, 6 weeks ago, I had my foot broken 2 places, and just, to be honest with you, there's been a lot of people that have helped, I wouldn't be here only for them, and the fact that the help from this foundation too has helped. A friend of mine set up a GoFundMe page for me. I'm not physically where I wanted to be, but to even be here, that night in Nobles, they told me I was going to be in a cast for 12 weeks, and I thought, geez, that's everything's out the window. And between hyperbaric chambers and running back and forward to doctors and appointments and stuff, I was in a boot in 2.5 weeks, and then out of the boot after another 3 weeks. And a lot of people have helped me from home, and I just want to thank them all. Anybody that's helped sponsor. Who else? I don't want to miss anybody. Anybody that helped sponsor the GoFundMe page. Stacey Wogan as well, done a thing for all the Irish riders and sold t-shirts and stickers and stuff and gathered up a fund and just split it between all the Irish riders. So that was an extra few pound for everybody. One of my mates, Michael Gahan, gave me actually the money that he got from that fund. He donated it to me. That's what this paddock life's all about, as everybody has said. People just help each other out, there's people in the paddock there. If I needed something, they would give it to me in the opposite way about, and we could be out racing with each other, against each other. 5 minutes later, it's one big family, and just everybody wants to help each other, and everybody wants everybody to get round safe. And if you can help out somebody in between times, it's never seems to be a problem. I could never see, even if I did ever stop racing, I could never see me being away from the paddock. It's nice to help out and it's nice to be helped. And this foundation as well is it's a great cause, and it's helped massively. I just want to say hello to my daughter Maya too, because if I don't mention her, she'll go mad.
Is she into bikes?
She'd want to be.
Would you want her to be?
Not really, to be honest, but whatever, if she wants, we'll see. It's been talked about a few times, but we'll see. She hasn't got one yet anyway, but down the line you never know, if she behaves.
Mentioning your foot, and I just wanted to ask, in terms of sort of pain and whatever, how did it stand up to your first laps out?
To be honest with you, the foot wasn't too bad, but whenever I did come off 6 weeks ago, I did get a right slap, and I must be sort of twisted up, and I'm just not 100%. My back's took a bit of a knock on my pelvis, and I didn't feel it. I felt alright when I was on the bike after the 2 laps, and the next thing, whenever I pulled in the park farm, I went to get off the bike, I couldn't straighten up, and my groin was sort of nearly locked. I had it nearly crippled myself down to the thing, but I went to the physio after it, and whatever he's done has freed me up a bit, and he did say that it was sort of offline and off balance a bit, so he done a bit of work, and it seems to have helped, so it does, whatever he's done. But the foot actually isn't too bad. I have a wee bit of a limp, but I thought it would have been worse. I went out and done them 2 laps. I could have went on for an hour lap, to be honest. I just want to do laps when I'm here, make the most of it, you know. But so we'll just have to see what the weather does now, and hopefully we'll get as many laps as possible anyway.
And Tim, what does success at MGP 24 look like for you?
I think I set my sights on qualifying, just so I can get the experience of the race and just to finish a race. You've got to be realistic around here. When we did all the training, and obviously when you speak to the more experienced guys, they all say to you, you know, you need to be looking at this sort of a 3-year programme. It's not somewhere you can just come, and some people can, some are really naturally talented and have got it and can go straight to the top, but for me, I want to go home knowing that I've completed the race and take the experience away from it. But I am looking at it sort of longer term and just build it up nice and steady over the next 3 years, and I kind of took that approach yesterday in the practice. Just learn the place. When you go around in the van, you do all the training. It's all fantastic. It's all brilliant stuff, you know, and doing all the onboards. But when you actually put your leg over the bike and then the speed start coming, everything's coming at you that fast. It's hard for you. Your brain has to get used to be able to compute when you're trying to sort of what's next. It's coming at you at 100 odd mile an hour. So take your time, build it up, and that's my approach. So qualify and finish, go home safe, that's it for me.
And I guess from your point of view, Dave, that's what you want for your newcomer riders as well?
Most definitely, yeah. Just have a good time, enjoy it, learn, come back again next year.
And on Sunday, you're going to be taking part in a lap as well. Tell us about what's happening.
Yeah, there's the Jack Wood Memorial Lap run by the Manx Grand Prix Supporters Club. Jim Hunter and Alan Brew, they asked me to go along. I'm going at the front as one of the VIPs with a Redmayne bib on, and I'm just representing Billy. It's 10 years since he won the Newcomers, so it's quite poignant for us. It starts from the grandstand at about 9:30 on Sunday. So you need to get up there a bit earlier and get signed on, chuck your money in the tub, help the cause.
That'll be quite a spectacle, that, won't it? And just from your point of view, me talking about scrutineering, which is something that the general public doesn't really get to see inside what happens there. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the atmosphere in that area of the paddock?
I've been doing it since about 2006. I got involved in the scrutineering side. I always used to dread going to scrutineering, pushing the bike up. You've been working on it all night. Oh, no. But actually working in scrutineering, we're a nice bunch of people, you know. We're not ogres. There's not enough of us. We run seminars in December up at the grandstand. If anybody wants to get involved, we've got a Facebook page, Alman Scrutineers Association. You can get in touch with Grant Howard on there. It's great once you're a scrutineer, especially at TT. There's some of the machinery you can get your hands on.
Not for you, Aidan, yeah?
No. Yeah, I thought about that one. I said, yeah, if you want to give something back, maybe be a marshal, but not a scrutineer. Yeah, so I say, if you can get into scrutineering, like I say, the average age of the scrutineers is going up and up. We're trying to get younger people involved. You can have a good time. And over here we have, like I said, the Scrutineers Association, which is a bit of a social life as well. We go out, meals, bowling, rides outs on the bikes, you know. So, yeah, it's great being able to help everybody get out on track safely. Some of the things you find, we found a brake caliper bolt, didn't we, at the Southern 100? There was a local rider, I'll not mention his name. He knows who he is. And then there was another local rider who lost his pinch bolts from the front forks and ended up falling off. He was all right, but and then even, you know, like the big names, you see them come past with bits falling off. And I say Dan Neen rode past scrutineering once with the rear caliper dangling, still just attached to the brake line. It's good fun. It's challenging. So TT just gone. We got COVID through the bay. We were down to about half the team. So we were working hard, but it's good seeing this lots of faces when they come in after the laps and knowing that you've helped get them out there safely. Like I say, I've had some discussions with riders and I had to exclude one down at the Southern a few years ago, but we're not there to stop you racing. We're there to help you race safely. That's the main thing.
It's been brilliant talking to all of you. Thank you so much for coming in at what is such a busy time for everyone. We're going to put the links, presumably you're all on sort of social media so people can keep up to date with how you're doing. So we'll put those links on the podcast page as well. But just wish you all the very, very best for the rest of the week. And let's catch up when Newcomers is over and see how you've done.
Cheers, Beth. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, cheers, no worries.
Dave Redmayne, just brilliant to talk to him about the fund and also hear from the riders who are being supported this year: Tim Walsh, Aidan Cleary, Callum Pert and Damien Crook. You can find their social media page links on the podcast page. There are a lot of links on there, but please do go and follow their progress and see how they're getting on. And there is also a link as well, so you can find the beautiful book that Billy's mum Sue wrote in his memory. If you would like to be involved in the podcast, then please do drop me an email, bethsb@manxradio.com. These podcasts are brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance. You can find out how you can get covered by them by going to kawasaki-insurance.co.uk. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.